Welcome to Money Daily. At this very moment, the global silver market is going through a fundamental re-rating. This is not just a price ticking up or down, it's a full-scale storm involving physical resources, financial leverage, geopolitical games, and the future of industry itself. Some people say this is just overheated speculation, but more and more investors are starting to realize that the real driving force behind this storm is the violent return of silver's status as a critical industrial metal. For a long time, silver was treated as a sidekick to gold, a decorative accessory, an afterthought. But today, surging industrial demand has completely rewritten that logic, especially from high-tech manufacturing, led by companies like Tesla. Their explosive, almost desperate demand for silver is exposing just how irreplaceable silver has become in modern industry. Without silver, there is no future for electric vehicles, and no computing foundation for the AI era. Today, we're going to fully break down the logic behind all of this. Make sure you don't miss what's coming. Okay, let's go. Why has silver, long seen as gold's sidekick, suddenly become the eye of the storm in global financial markets? For a very long time, silver was known for extreme volatility and unpredictable moves, earning it the nickname the devil's metal among traders. But even the most seasoned traders have never seen anything like what's happening now. As of now, spot silver prices in the US market have touched $80 per ounce. On a recent trading day, silver surged 10% in a single session. Moves like that usually belong to small-cap stocks or some emerging cryptocurrency. When it happens in a global commodity, it can only mean one thing. Underlying market liquidity has dried up, or the bulls are launching a full-scale annihilation. Looking at the year-to-date performance, a 174% gain means that if you allocated to silver at the beginning of the year, your investment has nearly tripled. This performance doesn't just crush the S&P 500, it even makes gold, which has had a strong year itself, look dull by comparison. Here, we need to introduce a key technical indicator, the gold-to-silver ratio, or GSR. Simply put, how many ounces of silver does it take to buy 1 ounce of gold? Historically, this ratio has seen massive swings, but with silver's explosive rally, the GSR has now fallen to around 58. Why does this number matter? Because under traditional pricing logic, the gold-to-silver ratio is often seen as a thermometer for inflation or recession. When the ratio drops, it signals a simultaneous breakout in silver's industrial value and its financial value. If silver keeps this momentum, the ratio will compress even further. That wouldn't just reshape silver's valuation model, it could also force gold prices into a new upward phase. What's even more shocking is silver's position in the global asset landscape. According to the latest market cap rankings, silver's total market value has now surpassed the British pound, making it one of the most important assets in the world. Right now, the only asset ahead of silver in this ranking is Nvidia. If silver's market cap overtakes this AI chip giant, it will enter the global top 10 assets by market value. A cold-mined metal is now challenging the valuation of humanity's most advanced technology companies. That alone tells you we are living through a return of physical assets. So why now? And why silver? The most direct trigger comes from China. China has officially announced that starting January 1st, 2026, it will implement strict silver export controls. Any company wishing to export silver will be required to obtain special government-issued licenses. You have to understand this. China is not only a major global silver producer, it is also the world's largest silver processing and consumption hub, especially in photovoltaics, electronic equipment, and electric vehicles. China's industrial chain holds overwhelming dominance in these sectors. As the world competes for a seat in the future industrial order, silver's role as an irreplaceable conductive material is being fundamentally reevaluated. As soon as the news broke, silver prices on the Shanghai Gold Exchange reacted first, surging to $85 per ounce, a full $5 higher than US spot prices. This $5 premium shows that physical silver is flowing from the west to the east, or more accurately, Western markets are losing control over physical silver. This premium will trigger aggressive arbitrage, further draining physical inventories from traditional hubs like London and New York. Now imagine you're a global industrial manufacturing giant, staring at a supply chain that could be cut off in just a few days. What would you do? You'd have no choice but to sweep the spot market at any cost. That brings us to a key figure we have to talk about, Elon Musk. Musk recently posted on X saying, "This is not good. Many industrial processes need silver." His anxiety is easy to understand. In modern high-end manufacturing, silver is not a consumable. It's a lifeline. First, let's break down how much silver goes into a Tesla. In the era of traditional gasoline cars, the amount of silver used per vehicle was roughly 15 to 28 grams, mainly for relays in simple circuit connections. But once you enter Tesla's all-electric era, that number more than doubles. According to the Silver Institute and industry teardown reports, a typical Tesla electric vehicle consumes between 25 and 50 grams of silver. That's because an EV is essentially a mobile, high-voltage electrical system, from the battery management system to the inverter to the precision circuit boards behind autonomous driving sensors. Silver, with the highest electrical conductivity in the world, becomes the only choice to reduce energy loss and prevent overheating. Every silver-coated contact, every silver alloy connector is there to ensure absolute precision in current flow. If we use the projected global EV sales of 17 million units in 2025, this alone will consume millions of ounces of silver worldwide. And that doesn't even include Tesla's other product, solar roofs. Each photovoltaic panel consumes about 20 grams of silver paste on average. Cover an entire roof, and you're literally welding a full kilogram of silver onto a house. If electric vehicles are major silver consumers, then AI compute centers are silver's hidden black hole. Right now, all the attention is on NVIDIA's chips, but very few people are paying attention to the blood vessels that connect those chips. In AI data centers running large models like Grok, data transmission speeds have already reached extreme levels. To minimize loss in high-frequency signal transmission, the connectors and high-speed cables inside AI servers rely heavily on high-purity silver plating. According to the latest industry estimates, a single AI server uses more than 3 times the amount of silver found in a traditional general-purpose server. And in data center power distribution systems, where AI clusters can demand thousands of watts in instantaneous power, circuit breakers and switches must use large amounts of silver alloys to handle the load. Elon Musk has warned that future power shortages will constrain the development of AI. What he didn't say is the second half of that sentence. If the silver supply breaks down, the physical infrastructure that supports AI cannot be built at all. This is rigid demand at its most terrifying because it is extremely price insensitive. For Tesla or NVIDIA, silver rising from $30 to $80 per ounce increases costs, but not enough to halt production. For the silver market, however, this kind of cost-blind buying is more than enough to drain the very last silver bar from global exchanges. If supply-demand imbalance is the dry tinder, then the pressure facing the global financial infrastructure is the raging fire.
We need to focus on 2 key institutions: the London Bullion Market Association and the New York Mercantile Exchange. These are the core centers of global silver pricing, but for years, they've been plagued by a deeply criticized problem. Paper silver vastly outweighs physical silver. At the London Bullion Market Association, the silver leasing market has effectively stalled. According to the latest reports, every single request to roll over silver leases maturing within the next 2 weeks has been rejected by banks. That means there is no extra silver left in the vaults to lend out. No matter how high the interest rate, the physical metal simply isn't there. Market rumors suggest the LBMA is now facing a historic vault run. When markets open next Monday, the LBMA may be forced to take extreme measures, potentially repricing its benchmark price in one move to match prices in Shanghai. If prices are not raised, all remaining physical silver could be withdrawn instantly, triggering a complete systemic default. Across the ocean, the situation at the New York Mercantile Exchange is just as severe. The amount of silver scheduled for delivery in December has exceeded 63 million ounces, setting an all-time record. Here's a concept everyone needs to understand. In futures markets, the vast majority of contracts are settled in cash. Positions are offset and no metal actually moves. But now, more and more buyers are demanding physical delivery. This is like a bank run. Everyone wants to withdraw cash from the counter, but most of the money has already been loaned out. Only a small reserve remains on hand. The market widely suspects that COMEX simply cannot deliver those 63 million ounces of physical silver. If delivery fails, there are only 2 options: declare force majeure and forcibly cash settle contracts, or watch prices explode upward until short sellers finally surrender. So in this storm, who is losing money? The answer is the large commercial banks. For a long time, major Wall Street banks have held massive short positions in the silver market. Using their capital advantage, they suppressed prices by dumping huge volumes of virtual paper silver at market highs, profiting from the decline. This time, they've hit a steel wall. As prices surged from the low 20s per ounce to nearly $80, these banks' unrealized losses have ballooned to astronomical levels, tens of billions of dollars. Even worse is the liquidity crisis. Last Friday alone, these banks were forced to tap more than $17 billion through the Federal Reserve's repo facilities just to maintain their positions. This is no longer normal market volatility. This has the hallmarks of systemic risk. If silver prices continue to rise, some banks deeply involved on the short side could face the risk of collapse. In this situation, the Fed's role becomes extremely delicate. On one hand, it must provide liquidity to prevent the banking system from breaking. On the other hand, this indirect money printing further undermines currency credibility and pushes silver prices even higher. To cool the market, regulators have already stepped in. The New York Mercantile Exchange announced that starting December 29th, it will once again sharply raise margin requirements. Simply put, if you previously needed $100,000 to control $1 million worth of silver contracts, regulators are now requiring $150,000. Their goal is to raise trading costs and force some long positions out, putting downward pressure on prices. But does this actually work? Just 1 week ago, margin requirements were already raised once. Instead of falling, silver prices surged even harder. Because once market logic shifts from speculative games to physical scarcity, higher margins only scare away small retail traders. The real players, industrial giants and sovereign funds, aren't chasing margin. They want the silver.
Right now, global market observers are split into two camps. The first camp is the traditionalists, represented by veteran trader Peter Brandt. Brandt's view is very clear. This time is not different. He has lived through decades of commodity bull and bear cycles. In his eyes, every major commodity surge comes with people claiming that this time is different, that fundamentals have fundamentally changed. But in the Hunt Brothers episode of 1980, and in the silver peak of 2011, the final outcome was the same. The bubble burst and prices collapsed. His logic is simple. Rapid price increases are, by themselves, the cure for high prices. The higher prices go, the more idle silver comes back through recycling, the more mines ramp up production, and the more demand gets destroyed because prices are simply too expensive. The second camp is the paradigm shift group, represented by analyst Luke Gromen. Gromen argues that people love to compare today's silver market to the Hunt Brothers era, but they are missing a fundamental difference. Back then, the Hunt brothers bought silver to hoard it, to corner the market. They didn't actually use silver. Today, that's not the case. The buyers are Tesla, solar panel manufacturers, and AI chip assembly plants. Silver has shifted from a financial asset to a strategic resource. In the past, silver demand came largely from jewelry and investment. Now, the growth in demand is driven by the energy transition and the compute arms race. This is hard demand, demand that cannot be suppressed by simply cutting back. At the same time, silver mine output is declining. That's because most silver is a byproduct of lead, zinc, and copper mining. It's extremely difficult to massively expand production just for silver alone. Gromen believes what we're witnessing is a repricing of physical assets, driven by cracks in the global fiat credit system. If paper money is no longer trusted, and if physical supply chains are fractured by geopolitics, then these non-renewable foundational resources must return to their true value. So how should we understand silver's revaluation at this moment in time? I want to share my perspective from 3 deeper angles. First, the decoupling of paper wealth from real physical goods. Over the past 40 years, the world has lived through an era of extreme financialization. We became accustomed to trading numbers on screens, to managing risk through complex derivatives. We developed the illusion that as long as you had money, you could buy anything. Reality has delivered a brutal wake-up call. When China restricts exports, when London vaults run dry, hedge funds holding hundreds of millions in cash discover that what they actually own is just a delivery receipt, not real silver. This marks a full-scale counterattack by physical assets against financial leverage. Second, the resource foundation of the energy transition and technological transformation. We talk about AI, carbon neutrality, and interstellar exploration. These visions sound futuristic and almost sci-fi, but strip away the glossy surface, and at the base of it all are still energy and materials. Without silver, there are no high-efficiency solar panels and no low-loss conductors. Every leap in human civilization is essentially an improvement in how efficiently we use resources. And that forces us to ask a hard question. If resources are finite, has a system built on infinite credit expansion and endless growth reached its limit? Third, the fragmentation of the global trade order.
The divergence between silver prices in Shanghai and those in London and New York is an extremely dangerous signal. It suggests that the unified global commodity market is breaking apart. This fragmentation introduces massive uncertainty and renders investment models built on globalization assumptions ineffective. At this point, a sentence comes to mind. Money is the shadow of credit. Resources are the skeleton of civilization. For years, we've been obsessed with the shifting shadows, playing financial magic, while forgetting that what keeps the world running are still those heavy metals pulled from the soil. The explosive rise in silver prices may be just the beginning. It feels more like a warning bell, a reminder that in a world flooded with credit, those things that cannot be created out of thin air and cannot be replaced by algorithms may finally be their moment. Is this time really different? Maybe history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but when all bubbles are squeezed dry, when all paper contracts are torn apart, what people are left holding may be only the things that are truly useful.
Finally, let's end with a thought from Elon Musk. Musk believes that if you are not rigorous about truth and honesty, then you will end up living in a world filled with delusions. He says, "I pursue honesty. Sometimes I'm wrong, and obviously no one can be right all the time. When I'm wrong, I believe I should accept correction. The reason I believe in truth and honesty is because I'm trying to understand the universe, trying to understand reality, trying to understand the meaning of life. If you are not rigorous about truth and honesty, then you will clearly live in a world full of delusions, and you will be unable to understand the nature of reality." Thank you for spending your valuable time watching my video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you want to learn more about these topics, please like and subscribe. This is Money Daily. Follow me for more timely and accurate insights.